top of virtualization. So you've got VMware, Microsoft, as well as our partners, our technology and storage partners. Again, we're adding. You'll see Nimble added in here after this week. So you've got the press release. Again, please hold off until after 3 o'clock before you do anything public about that. But the idea with adding the storage partners, we started with HP. Then we added NetApp, EMC this year, Nimble coming up again this year as well. And the idea there is to leverage that power of the storage to really help lower that recovery point objective and even recovery time objective, because storage can be very efficient at what they do in terms of snapshotting. We can ride on top of that, utilize that, and that's why as we add storage partners, it becomes an even better story and better together type of story with us, our reselling partners who focus on those technologies, and of course our technology partners. But kind of building on this, earlier this year we announced Veeam Availability Orchestrator, and the idea with Orchestrator is from a larger company, larger enterprise perspective. It's one thing to set up this idea, have this idea of replication and having multiple sites where you're replicating workloads, and in the event of a disaster, you can fail over to them. Then, we kind of had some basic orchestration, I call it basic orchestration in the core product, but really all you could do was say, okay, start with this VM and then start all the rest of them in this particular order. Maybe put a minute or so in between each one, but it's essentially just a boot order. There was no real kind of orchestration around it. There was no documentation to it. It was just a very basic kind of failover. So Orchestrator in version 1, the idea is to more finely orchestrate that failover. By actually creating policy-driven types of things, so that when the bad things do happen, you can just kind of click that one button, and then the workflow kicks off that then coordinates the disaster recovery. Probably most of the time you never have to push that button. That's what we hope for, but of course you always plan for the worst and hope for the best. But what this also provides is the ability to test that failover and that that DR scenario, as well as document it. And talking about the digital transformation, one of the things about the digital transformation is things are very dynamic. No longer is it just a physical server that's been sitting there for 3 years. We've got servers that might have a lifespan of an hour or 2 days or a week, or we spin up during busy times and spin them down during slow times. So things are changing very rapidly. So from the orchestrator perspective is keeping an eye on that dynamic infrastructure, and as things change and meet the policies of your DR scenario, that DR plan will automatically be updated, the documentation will be updated, and you'll be able to still fail over even though your environment may have changed significantly from the first time that you set those policies. So that's kind of the idea of orchestrators is work in these dynamic environments. So we're really looking forward to this. Orchestrator will be out later this year, so don't ask me for a specific date or time. We don't know yet, but we're shooting for the second half of 2016 for that. So that's kind of building on the availability suite. And a lot of what we've done to date is in this idea of you can call it private cloud, but it's really just on-prem, right? So depending on your definition of private cloud, not everybody wants a private cloud or they think they have one, but really it's just kind of on-prem infrastructure that's been virtualized, and that's where our strength is today. Our other strength is when we talk about what we call managed cloud. And we call it managed cloud because it's really delivered by what we call our Veeam cloud and service providers. So you might call it managed services, you might call it infrastructure as a service, or even colo, those types of things. But what we wanted to do is, both from a customer perspective and a partner perspective, is enable them to get together and do even more together. So the managed cloud and the Veeam cloud and service provider for our partners, it means that they can build Veeam-powered services and offer them to their existing customers, or even other Veeam customers that maybe they didn't sell to initially. So we're trying to help enable those typical reselling partners to get into the managed services business around Veeam, whether that's backup as a service or DR as a service, or even just managing their customers' environments through a new application we have, our portal. So we're enabling our reseller partners to become getting more into managed services, but we're also adding, as we're doing that, we're offering our customers now the ability to get very quick and easy offsite backups, do backup as a service, or great DR capabilities, utilize the cloud for DR, so through DR as a service. DR as a service is something we added in V9 earlier this year. But that's kind of why we talk about managed cloud, because it is very important to us. It's not what you would think of in terms of the highly public cloud. I'll get to that here in a moment. But this is really what's being provided by service providers and Veeam partners. And then of course, public cloud. What we typically relate to the public cloud, Amazon, Azure, Google, those types of things. And our strategy for that is a little bit different. We have a number of tools and things available in Azure. A lot of them for partners to be able to take care of, so they can actually use Azure as their cloud if they don't want to build one themselves. But when we look at what we're doing with Veeam Backup for Linux, which we announced at Veeam last year, as well as our Veeam Endpoint Backup, that's where we actually, it's an agent-based approach where we can go in and on those VMs running in that public cloud, we can back those VMs up.